VShojo has more news as to their mismanagement as we're in this era of them melting down, facing serious, and I mean dead serious, legal issues, regulatory issues related to their pending bankruptcy, related to their labor claims and potential criminal activity as it relates to charity fraud. So we've got a lot of stuff going on here with VShojo, but we have a letter from an actual employee at VShojo. We're going to go today that was posted on LinkedIn. We've got the translated version, and this really exposes the inside mispractices, mismanagement, and issues at VShojo. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this Illegal Mindset we teach you to be your own judge. This is a Fast Facts premiere, a quick and dirty version of the latest news that gets out there to you as quickly as possible. I've been very busy personally lately, so haven't had time for the full-length streams, but I've been trying to get these Fast Facts out to you to get the latest and greatest news to you as quickly as possible. So if you like that, you like these formats, please leave a comment and a like on this video. Let me know, hey, I like this, and here are my thoughts on the VShojo issue below. All right, so let's hop into it without any further ado. Here we go. Here's your letter from Alex Kiyoshi. Now, this was originally posted in Japanese on LinkedIn. However, this is the translated version in English. I did several translations and looked at folks that were pretty skilled. I think this one is good enough. Obviously, understand that with anything that's translated anywhere into any language, there can be certain things that can be translated in multiple ways. So there's a possibility of kind of minor changes. But overall, the tune and the theme and candor of it speaks to the mismanagement at VShojo. So let's just hop right into it. I'm going to read along and we'll stop as we're going to go. Taking this over the past year, VShojo has faced an extremely challenging situation involving mismanagement from upper management, which only came to light just before its closure. It's now been officially announced that VShojo has ceased operations. I want to stop there because I'm not always going to agree with Alex here. So I think that what he's saying when he says that the mismanagement from upper management was only came to light just now, that is not entirely correct. I think there were people speaking out about this a year or 2 years ago. Now, they couldn't say everything. They were under threat of lawsuits. They had NDAs, etc. Even their moms have NDAs. So I know while these things may be new news for certain people, and maybe to a certain extent, this individual didn't know the full scope until the last couple months, it's now very clear, and to certain people, particularly the upper management, amongst the upper management, they knew this was going on for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They knew they had major, major issues. So there's a lot of culpability at the top, not just with the gun run, but certainly including the gun run. They knew this was going on for a long time, and they decided to push forward despite major issues and the inability to really turn to a profitable business. They really had no business being in business because they had no path to profitability that was realistic. So taking this opportunity, so he's saying it has now been announced that VShojo has ceased operations. So that is true. Now, of course, they're going to need an official bankruptcy. They're going to need official filings. They're going to have a new criminal investigation. So this Alex Kiyoshi fellow, he's not out of the woods. He can be investigated. There's criminal stuff that may come down, regulatory stuff, labor stuff. So he's not out of the woods despite this letter. So anyways, taking this opportunity, I would like to finally speak publicly about my experiences at VShojo and my prior role at Cover. So he's going to go into Cover Corporation, of course, a separate corporation. This post addressed misunderstandings and rumors stemming from a leaked pitch document created by VShojo's U.S. team, which has been circulating online recently. This document, by the way, I'm giving some context here, was created in January of 2025. This document led to incorrect perceptions of my role and involvement. The entertainment industry thrives on trust. I regret not only that VShojo has lost trust of its talents and staff, but also that my name has been misrepresented in a manner inconsistent with the facts. First, let me clarify my role at Cover. I served as advisor and business planner at Cover, as accurately reflected on my LinkedIn profile. This can be verified by Cover's executives, EN team members, or the talents themselves. However, for some reason, VShojo's materials referred to me as Gen 1 director, which is factually incorrect. The information has also led to confusion with Omega, a figure who was publicly disliked by some talents at the time. In reality, my role was to address the root of that issue, and I was the one who led the effort to remove Omega. When I joined Cover, my primary mission was to identify and resolve issues within the overseas team. I collaborated with the CEO and CFO in strategic planning for IPO preparations, addressing challenges for EN Indonesia teams, and establishing international business division for global expansion, because that's what Cover's been trying to do. Even after the IPO, that's the initial public offering, for those that don't know, I continued to support the overseas team as an advisor. So you can continue as an advisor for pretty much forever. And also sometimes as an advisor, you can work for other companies. Mind you, that can be true. So by the way, him saying he worked as an advisor wouldn't necessarily get him out of working for other people or taking on independent work necessarily in and of itself. Now, the cover corporation, aka HoloLive contract might, but not in and of itself legally. Let's continue. During my 3 years at Cover, while working at large-scale projects, I faced a significant decision, whether to relocate to the U.S. for establishment of a new brand or choose a new path. At that time, I received an offer from VShojo to remain in Japan because he liked Japan. Due to personal circumstances, I chose that option. He probably had a family, wife, mother, father, friends, something like that. I mean, that's a legitimate decision to stay behind in Japan. Regrettably, that decision turned out to be a significant mistake. That said, working with VShojo's Japan team was incredibly meaningful and proud experience. Despite being a small team, we operated with high efficiency, generated profits, and successfully launched a VTuber group, Nova. Although the company no longer exists, I, along with all the other former Japanese staff, am fully committed to supporting Nova and the Japanese talents as they continue their activities. I want to make something very clear here. This is a big confusion, and to be honest, I am going to give a little pushback on him here. There is no distinction between the legal distinction between the JP branch and the EN branch. This is an internal distinction, which makes no difference legally, financially, etc. VShojo wasn't making a profit. He wasn't making a profit. Just because the talents he micromanaged within the corporation were making a profit does not make the corporation at all profitable. And the liability overall falls on the corporation as a whole because they're not legally distinct. There is no legally separate Japanese branch. They cannot split that off legally. They cannot spin that off. That's practically impossible, legally impossible. So he was not profitable. Just because his people he managed personally were does not mean the corporation overall was. So that distinction is an internal distinction, which makes no difference at all whatsoever. When the bankruptcy court comes in, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, well, the JP people were profitable and the EN weren't. No, they don't care. They look at overall assets and liabilities. And as we know, VShojo had a huge problem putting things in the right category. They were putting, fees for talents under cost of goods, which is insane. So let's continue here. So let me go here. The events that affected VShojo's talents, including Iron Mouse, came as a major shock to the Japanese team as well. We are completely unaware of the internal situation until recently. Well, now, obviously, I will say this in his defense. I do think he's not in charge of finances. So I don't think this man was in charge of the financing or the accounting because that would be weird. He's more like a JP assistant manager, of the JP branch. So that wouldn't be in charge of the overall financials. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt there. Now, that there could come up something that would change my mind on that. We could get further discovery or evidence that makes him culpable. But for now, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Going on, we're unaware of the situation. Financial management was entirely under control of the U.S. headquarters, which I would agree. And neither the Japan branch president, there was no real branch, remember this is an internal distinction, nor I were informed that payments to Japan-based talents were outstanding. This part, I don't believe. I believe the talents probably complained to him. This, I think, is the lie. I think the talents probably told him that they're not getting paid. If he's in charge of the talents probably at some point told him they're not getting paid. Hey, we're not getting paid. They probably told somebody or somebody under him they're not getting paid. I think that's not true. We are deeply frustrated such a decision was made despite the ability to pay those payments. I initially joined VShojo to assist with fundraising efforts, but during investment negotiations, I grew suspicious when critical financial documents were not provided by upper management. That is a huge red flag. In hindsight, I now understand that this is intentionally concealed. From early on, there were numerous concerns about the company's management, and the Japan branch president and I were exploring the possibility of operational separation, but it was already too late. I feel profound disappointment regarding the series of events at VShojo. At the same time, I will continue to provide as such support as possible to ensure that former talents can continue their activities with peace of mind. Thank you for reading this to the end. Please feel free to reach out with concerns and questions. Alex Kiyoshi. Well, Alex, my question to you is, are you willing to give up your salary and pay back some of those talents? Because if you feel responsible for the Japanese branch, if you're really somebody who feels personally responsible, what skin is in the game for you, Alex? Why don't you give them some of your money? Why don't you turn over some of that to the talents? Because obviously you're getting paid when they weren't. Everybody at that corporation should have taken a haircut, including you. So I don't let Alex off the hook here. I don't give Alex a free pass. I think, yes, upper management is responsible as well, but there are things they could have done. Certainly, if the talents were telling him, hey, we're not getting paid, and I'm sure at a certain point he knew they weren't getting paid because I'm sure they were telling people that were close to them they weren't getting paid, that's going to be something that's a big deal. You got to take a haircut on that. And by the way, some people don't know the term haircut. Haircut means a reduction, right? So your salary is, $100,000 a year. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to give up $25,000 to pay the talents that are under me. And that's going to personally go to them instead of me taking that salary. If you're really responsible, you want to step up, it's put up or shut up. And that's my personal thing. And of course, I believe the gun run should have been taking a pay cut. I believe the upper COO should be taking a haircut as well, should be taking a reduction and paying that to the talents. That's true responsibility. And I've seen that happen at corporations. I've seen that happen at major corporations. It's not impossible. It's not difficult. And it's still possible now if you really wanted to make it right. Or even better, if you don't want to pay the talents, donate to the Immune Deficiency Fund. There you go. Or foundation, right? Iron Mouse's charity. Donate to them. Show some skin in the game that you feel responsible and culpable for this, and you know that something wrong went on, and it was wrong that you were being paid when these talents were going without a dollar in the bank account. And of course, these talents are often young and often people that are exploited in the job market, and certainly were exploited by VShojo. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the